What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of NCAA basketball action here on Friday, February 14th. We're going to break down every college basketball game on the slate. We're going to look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. Thursday, not looking so hot, guys. Off to a very, very bad start. We saw Marshall and Alabama just really shoot the lights out in their game. They got over that number with plenty of time left. So that was a pretty annoying miss there on that underplay. We had Omaha plus 9.5. They played a great first half in that game, and now it looks like they're going to get blown out in the second half. So a couple big negatives there. We do have the Heat at -2. That play is still very live there in the third quarter. We also have Memphis, guys, the Memphis Tigers at -7.5, and they are absolutely putting it on them here in the first half. So we'll see how that goes, see if they can hold on to that throughout the game. But right now, looking like the best we can hope for is a 2-2 day. So hoping for a big bounce back here. Obviously, no NBA action today, but don't worry, guys. You can head over to the secondary channel. We're going to have a video on covering all of All-Star Weekend's festivities. You know, the three-point contest, the skills challenge, the dunk contest, who we think is going to win in the All-Star game tournament this year, and all that kind of stuff. So definitely get over there and check that out. If you want to win all of your bets today, guys, and if you want a chance to win a free hoodie, do me a big favor, hit that like button. If we get to 800 likes on this video, we're going to give away a free Stump the Spread hoodie. We're doing 1,000 for the NBA videos since this is just a college basketball video. Let's give it a shot, guys. We're going to lower that number a little bit, see if we can get to 800 likes on a college basketball video, and if we do, I will send out a free hoodie to one person who comments below. Also, subscribe to the channel, guys. Once we get to 50,000 subscribers, a number we are quickly approaching, we will give away a free hoodie then also. You can now sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all of my videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments keeps me fired up and motivated to make this channel even bigger and better. All of our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering the NBA, college basketball, UFC, and the NHL. We've got baseball right around the corner, guys, and that has been one of our most profitable sports over the years. So definitely click the link in the description, get over there, check us out. If you're not sure if you want to sign up for a premium pick package right now, that's totally fine. Just sign up for a free account, get on our email list. We'll send free picks straight to your inbox like once a day at the most, and we'll also keep you updated on how our premium picks have been doing. So comment below with any bets you're looking at today and to get in on that giveaway, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We're committed to responding to every single comment every day. So let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day out there, guys. A pretty crowded college basketball slate. We're going to cover every single game. We've got Ivy League action. We've got Columbia going on the road here to take on Dartmouth. The Columbia Lions come in this game 12-8 on the season, but they are in last place right now in the Ivy League. They're 1-6 in conference play. They're fresh off a win, though. They took down Brown 74-72, so a pretty decent win there. I mean, not like Brown's really lighting the world on fire with 2 conference wins, but we liked what we saw from Columbia in that game in general. Pretty nice stuff. I mean, O'Keefe put up 22 points, so that's a big game, and in general, they shot the ball, I mean, a little bit better than normal, only 20% from three-point range, so let's not alert the police or anything like that. Let's not throw them a parade. They did have 3 starters scoring double figures, and O'Keefe putting up those 22 points off the bench. So definitely some positives in this game. They had a slight rebounding edge, so we'll see if they can carry any of that over here as they take on a Dartmouth team that's 4-3 in conference play. They come into this game fresh off of a couple nice wins. They took down Columbia, so yeah, a little bit. We're going to dive into that game for sure, but they also took down Harvard 76-56 their last time out, a blowout win. They've got Cornell on deck, so maybe that's a little bit of a look-ahead spot, but not so much this season. Against Harvard, obviously a dominant 20-point win. Their win at Columbia, guys, a 95-89 win, so obviously not a blowout, a very high-scoring, very close game. In that one, we saw the Big Green guys. They shot 66.7% from the three-point line. That is crazy stuff. They also kept things even on the boards. They shot 82% from the free throw line. Both teams shot the same amount of free throws. We just saw Dartmouth make way more. Columbia, only 26.9% from 3. Just not a ton of positives. They both teams had the same amount of fouls, but we didn't see both teams have the same amount of turnovers. Columbia turned the ball over 4 times. Dartmouth turned the ball over 16 times, and we still saw Dartmouth get the 6-point win. So, looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Dartmouth -1.5 here. We've got a total of 161.5. Columbia, they are 2-5 against spread on the road, 9-8-1 to the over. Dartmouth, 4-3 against spread at home, 9-8-1 to the over as well. Guys, this Dartmouth team can score it. They're not a great defensive team. Obviously, their rebounding numbers are pretty decent, though, and we are not liking very much that we're seeing from Columbia right now, except for obviously the last game, but coming off a win like that puts you in something of a letdown spot. And while this team has a history of scoring it this season, guys, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Dartmouth here. Give me the Dartmouth Big Green to get the win and cover at home in this one. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at Mount St. Mary's. The Mountaineers are going on the road in this one to take on the Niagara Purple Eagles. Mount St. Mary's comes in this game fresh off a 70-67 heartbreaker loss there against Iona. They've been a middle-of-the-pack team this season, generally speaking. I mean, they're 6-6 there in conference play, not lighting the MAAC on fire necessarily, but they're doing some positive things. They're not a big offensive team, guys. 290th in the nation in points per game. Their rebounding numbers, though, are respectable. They're a team that plays with a good amount of ball movement. In their loss there, that tough loss against Iona, we did, not see them shoot the ball very well. They shot 20% there from three. They didn't do a terrible job on the boards, but not really a great effort out there. So we'll see if they can bounce back a little bit as they go on the road to take on the Niagara Purple Eagles, who are 10-14 on the season, guys. Niagara only 5-8 there in conference play. They're coming off a couple wins, though. They took down Quinnipiac going on the road there to get that win, and they just took down Canisius, although beating the worst team in the conference that's sitting with a 2-11 conference record. Not really time to alert the police. We'll see what they can do in this one. I mean, it's not necessarily looking like an amazing season for them so far. They've already lost in this matchup once this season at Mount St. Mary's, losing 68-62. That was a long time ago. These teams are much different at this point, but we'll see. I mean, in that game, guys, we saw, Mount St. Mary's didn't have the worst time, obviously, coming away with the 68-62 win. Niagara, although they didn't play terrible either. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Mount St. Mary's shot 47.4% from three, and we saw Niagara shoot only 30% from three themselves. The rebounding numbers were definitely, well in favor there of the Purple Eagles, so that's something to take into consideration in this game for sure. The Mountaineers don't really have a massive, big-time leading scorer. Their, season-long numbers, I'm not going to say they look necessarily horrible, but they're not lighting the world on fire in any category. And honestly, the defense doesn't look that great either, so not really digging what we're seeing here from Niagara. They are 1.5-point favorites in these games. Looking at that number, guys, we've got a total of 136.5. Mount St. Mary's 9-4 against spread on the road, 11-11 to the over/under. Niagara 4-5 against spread at home, 12-11 to the under. Guys, I'm taking Mount St. Mary's here, getting points. I think the wrong team is favored in this game. I know playing on the road can be tough there in college basketball, but I don't really think this is a situation where we're going to see Mount St. Mary's just roll over and play dead. I think they're going to, have a maximum effort game. I think they're going to play well in this one. And yeah, they're up to getting 2.5 points at some places. So you might even want to wait on this one, see if you can get a few more points. But I'm going to go ahead and lock this one in at Mount St. Mary's plus 1.5. Next up, guys, we have the St. Louis Billikens going on the road to take on the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. This is one of the biggest games of the night out there in the A10. We're going to see the Billikens, who are coming off of a couple tough losses, guys. They kind of got blown out there at St. Joseph's, which getting blown out by St. Joseph's this year, it doesn't look quite as bad as it has at some points, but losing against George Mason by 2 points in a heartbreaker against the best team in the conference, that's a tough pill to swallow, guys. That's a tough one. So we'll see if they can, turn it back around here. We've seen some good stuff. Robbie Avila has been a monster. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block in the loss. Yeah, an overtime loss there against the best team in the conference. Just that's gotta hurt, guys. That's gotta sting. They allowed George Mason to shoot 45% from three, so that's a bit rough. We liked in general what we saw from the Billikens. The bench terrible, 0 points from the bench, so that's obviously a big problem. But I think could have gotten just a little bit from the bench. They could have salted this game away, no issue. So we'll see if they can bounce back here. Over the course of the season, this team has been pretty good. Gibson Jimerson putting up very nice numbers over the course of the year. The defensive numbers look good. The rebounding's okay, definitely not elite. So we'll see what they can do, see if they can turn things around here against the Loyola Chicago team that they have not yet played, and they're about to play twice here coming up. So we'll see what goes on. The Ramblers 15-9 on the season. They're fresh off a win against Richmond. Richmond, the worst team out there in the A10, so that's not exactly a premium level win. Game before that, they lost to Duquesne, and that's not exactly a great loss. So we'll see what the Ramblers can get done in this one, in that win against Richmond. And it was at Richmond, so you get credit for any road conference win for sure. We did see the Ramblers shoot 40% from three. Not obviously something you can count on a nightly basis in college. Kept things even on the boards. They did a pretty good job, taking care of the ball. We saw, a couple 3-digit, double-digit scores, there in the starting lineup, and Jalen Quinn put up 10 points off the bench. So a pretty good night across the board out there. The Ramblers overall this season, not a great rebounding team. The offensive numbers don't look great. The defense is okay, but definitely we've seen better Loyola Chicago teams over the course of the season. So looking at the numbers of this one, for this one, guys, the Ramblers are 2.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 140.5. St. Louis 3-6 against spread on the road, but 18-5 to the under this season. That's an NCAA best to the under number. Guys, Loyola Chicago 4-8 against spread at home, 12-10-1 to the under. I know we just had an under play burn us yesterday, guys, but we're going back to the well here. Give me under 140.5 in this one. A play that's got a great chance to end up in the pinned comment. I also think there's good reason to take St. Louis in the points in this game. They're in a little bit of a tough spot coming off of a very, very tough loss, but they don't have really a look ahead or anything like that, and I think they could play this one very, very close. So taking the 2.5 points makes sense to me as well, but I mean, you've got a team that's the biggest under team in college basketball. I don't think there's any reason to go against the under. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. This is a great time to sign up for StumpTheSpread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our top confidence plays on all the major sports. We're currently covering NCAA basketball, the NBA, NHL, UFC, and the NFL. We have a team of professional cappers that work extremely hard putting in the research on these games every day so you don't have to. We make things very easy for you with pick notifications directly to your phone and unit sizes assigned to each play so you can see where our confidence level is on every individual matchup. To test out the service before you buy, join our free email list, get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just click the link in the description to sign up for a free account. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now guys, back to the games. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Cornell Big Red going on the road to take on the Harvard Crimson. Cornell comes into this game 13-7 on the season. They're currently tied for second place. They're in the Ivy League. They're fresh off a blowout loss at the hands of Yale, and pretty much everybody's getting blown out by Yale. The game before that, though, they did get a massive blowout win there, though, in this exact same matchup. So we'll see if they can run it back. We did see, the Crimson, shoot 40% from three in that loss. That's a good look. They're a team that can definitely score it. We saw Coper Nord put up 28 points in the loss. So this is a team with a lot of positives here. And, over the course of the year, their offensive numbers look very, very good. Their assist numbers look great. So this is a team that I honestly think is a threat to, upset the apple cart there once it comes to conference tournament time. So we'll see what Cornell will do on the road here against a Harvard team that's fresh off a, 20-point loss against Dartmouth. They, didn't have a good time the last time in this matchup, losing by 15 there at Cornell. Not necessarily loving what we're seeing from this team. Their season-long numbers looking really, really mediocre, averaging 67.2 points per game in the Ivy League is not a great look. This is not a team that rebounds the ball well either. They don't play at the same pace, but I think Cornell can kind of, insert their own pace there on Harvard. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Harvard actually 5.5-point favorites in this one. That seems like a made-up line, guys. Is that a fake line? Did we get hoodooed? Is this a fake line? Yes, it is. I wrote it down wrong. Okay, yes. So Cornell is 5.5-point favorites. That makes a lot more sense. Got to watch those notes, guys. They can get you. But we're definitely going to be taking Cornell minus 5.5 in this game. No questions asked about that one. They are 7-2 against spread on the road. They are 12-5-2 to the over. Harvard only 3-4 against spread at home. They're a slight under team. So definitely give me Cornell here at minus 5.5. I think we see them get a blowout winning cover, winning this game by at least 12 to 15 points once again. Next up, guys, staying in the Ivy League, we've got Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Quakers going on the road to take on the Yale Bulldogs. Pennsylvania comes in this game fresh off a 2-point loss there against Princeton. The game before that, they got blown out by 29 against Yale. Now they've got to go to Yale. That probably doesn't feel great. This team in the mid-300s in all the major categories, points per game, rebounds per game. They're not a very good defensive team either. So a lot of problems here facing the Quakers. A team that's not had a good time. So we'll see if they can pull things together here on the road against a Yale team that's been kind of cruising out there in the Ivy League. They're 7-0 in conference play, 14-6 overall. They're fresh off a big win over Cornell, so maybe they'll take their foot off the gas a little bit here because they're in a little bit of a look ahead spot. They've got this very, very easy matchup against one of the worst teams in the conference, and then they have Princeton on deck, which, a team that's definitely given them a run for their money. They did beat Princeton earlier this year by 7, but, it was a competitive game. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is obviously an elite team, guys. They're 16th in the nation in points per game, 27th in rebounds. All the numbers here definitely point to Yale, and the odds makers don't disagree, guys. The Bulldogs are 17.5-point favorites. We've got a total here of 148.5. Pennsylvania, guys, 4-4 against spread on the road, 11-7-2 to the over. Yale, 5-1 against spread at home, 12, 6, and 1 to the over. The last time these two teams played, we saw a total of 151. They think it's going to be a little bit less than that in this game, and I honestly don't blame them too much for thinking that, guys. So I would shade maybe just a hair towards the under here, and a very contrarian against the numbers here underplay. But I think this is a spot where you have to lean towards Pennsylvania and the points, since it's such a big look ahead spot for Yale. I think they'll kind of blink in this one and let this game be maybe a 14-point game or a 12 to 15-point game, something like that. It's not a play that's going in the pinned comment. You could definitely talk me into Yale. Obviously, they're the way better team, but in a look ahead spot like this, you have to watch out for those big underdogs. Rounding out Ivy League play for the day, guys, we're looking at Princeton going on the road to take on Brown. The Tigers 16-6 on the season. They're coming off a 2-point scare there against Penn. The game before that, they blew out Brown by 20. So now they're going back to Brown to see if they can, kind of repeat things there. Xavier Lee is a monster, 16.2 points and 5.5 assists per game. Very, very reasonable stuff. The season-long numbers aren't necessarily, jumping off the page at you, but the worry in this game is definitely it's a look-ahead spot here for, Princeton. They've got Brown in this game, a team they already beat by 20, and then they've got going to Yale coming up. So that's a big deal, guys. We'll see what goes on, but this is going to be, a little bit more of a test in terms of, your mental. Like, can you lock in and take on, a clearly inferior opponent and actually take them serious in this game? We'll see. It'll be a little bit of a test for Princeton. I mean, the last time they played against, this Brown team, it was a blowout, a 20-point blowout. So they've got to feel good about that. We'll see what they can do here against these Brown Bears, who are 10-10 on the season. They're 2-5 in conference play. They're coming off a loss to Columbia, a 74-72 loss, so that probably doesn't feel amazing. And their season-long numbers are atrocious, guys. This is not a very good team. The last time these two teams faced off against each other, Brown lost by 20 despite shooting 33% from three. Not a number that you can always count on. They got dominated on the boards. They couldn't defend the three-point line there against Princeton. They had 3 starters scoring double figures and 2 starters scored 0 points. The bench did very, very little. So not really feeling the spot here for Brown, despite Princeton being in, a look ahead spot for sure. I mean, we see Brown, coming into this game. I don't know, guys. It's a bit of a tough sell if you ask me. They're getting 4.5 points now. The line has moved since the opener, which it opened at 3.5. I'm going to be siding here with Princeton at -4.5. This has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. I mean, Princeton is only 2-5 against spread on the road, though. They're 12-9-1 to the under. Brown 5-4 against spread at home, 11-9 to the under. I'm not taking under 139.5 in this matchup, but I do think you could maybe talk me into Princeton at -4.5, but maybe not with those trends of Brown playing well against spread at home. Now, guys, we're done with those nerds. We're headed out to the horizon for our next game. We've got Northern Kentucky going on the road to take on Green Bay. The Northern Kentucky Norse come into this game 6-8 in conference play, 11-14 on the season, fresh off a loss against Robert Morris. So that's a little bit tough. An 81-76 loss against a Robert Morris team that, been pretty good. One of the best 2 teams in the conference this year. So keeping things that close and then eventually taking the 5-point loss cannot feel amazing. They knocked off Cleveland State the game before that, so that was a huge, huge win, obviously. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against Green Bay. We like what we see from Trey Robinson this season, but the offensive numbers not really getting us too excited, guys. They're 305th in the nation in points per game, and that's definitely a concern here going on the road to take on a Green Bay Phoenix team that is terrible, guys. They're real bad. They're 2-23 on the season. They're coming off a loss against Purdue Fort Wayne. Obviously not the toughest team out there, but not the easiest team. I mean, they are 11-5 in conference play. We don't like anything really that we're seeing from Green Bay right now. I mean, Marcus Hall, 12.5 points per game. They're 343rd in the nation in points per game. Their rebounding numbers are even worse, and they are terrible, terrible, terrible on defense. So looking at the numbers here, Green Bay getting 7.5 points. We've got a total of 141.5. Northern Kentucky, 1-9 against the spread on the road. They're also 14-10 to the under. Green Bay, 2-8 against spread at home. They are 13-11-1 to the under. This is a really pick your own adventure situation, guys. I mean, we see Wright State on the on the deck there for the Phoenix, and we see Milwaukee on deck here for the Norse. So yeah, just a tough spot to figure out. I'm leaning here a bit towards Green Bay and the points just because of how bad Northern Kentucky's been on the road this season, but you could talk me into almost anything on this game, and the main thing you talk me into would be that under 141.5 because both teams showing trends towards the under here. Neither team is very good at all offensively, and I could definitely see this one being, something of a rock fight. Next up, guys, we've got Ohio going on the road to take on Kent State. The Ohio Bobcats 13-11 on the season, fresh off an 86-81 win there over Bowling Green. A pretty nice win. We do see Ohio 7-4 there in conference play. They're no slouches. Bowling Green, obviously not the toughest opponent out there, but hey, they'd come away with a win. They will definitely take it. Going on the road against Kent State, they've got a chance in this game. Obviously, they beat Kent State earlier this year. That one was at home for Ohio, though, so we'll see if they can run it back. It was only a 2-point win there. We like what we've seen from A.J. Clayton this season, putting up 15 points per game. Not bad. This is a top 50 offensive team, but the rebounding numbers really aren't there for the Bobcats, so we'll see what they can get done here on the road against the Kent State Golden Flashes, who are 16-8 on the season. They're currently one game back there in the conference standings, though, and they've been playing much better recently. Gotta give them credit for playing better. I mean, at East Michigan, a blowout win against Arkansas State, one of the best teams in the conference, a win. And then their last time out against Central Michigan, a nice 91-83 win. So a lot of things pointing in the right direction. Von Cameron Davis playing great, 15.5 points per game for him, shooting nearly 45% from the field. This team is pretty decent on the boards. The offensive numbers maybe leave a little bit to be desired here, but they play great defense. And that's a big deal, especially in this matchup. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Kent State, 5.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 145.5. Ohio, 2-8 against spread on the road, 15-7-1 to the over. Kent State, 3-5-2 against spread at home, 15-7 to the under. So yeah, it's a tough spot, guys. It's definitely a tough spot. The last time these two played, it was a very close game, but Ohio, terrible against the spread on the road. We see Kent State has Bowling Green on deck. Ohio, guys, they have Central Michigan. So neither team is in a huge look-ahead spot. I'm going to be leaning here a bit towards Kent State at home as 5.5-point favorites. Ohio, just a terrible team against spread on the road. So maybe this is a spot for Kent State to, bounce back here a little bit and just keep the good run rolling here. I mean, they're going up against a team that beat them earlier this season. It's a big revenge spot as well. Next on the docket, we're looking at the MAAC. We've got Fairfield going on the road to take on St. Peter's. Fairfield only 9-15 on the season, fresh off a loss against Sacred Heart, a 6-point loss. That was a predictable letdown, guys, after beating Marist 59-56. So that was a pretty crazy deal. Not exactly a team you would have expected to beat Marist this season, but they found a way to get the job done. So we'll see what they can do in this matchup against St. Peter's. This Fairfield team does not have a big-time leading scorer. They don't put up very good offensive numbers. They play at a pretty slow pace in general, but the defense still doesn't look that good. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously coming off a loss against Sacred Heart, and now they're playing a team that's very close to the bottom of the standings in the St. Peter's Peacocks, who are only 7-13 on the season, so that doesn't exactly look amazing, guys. They're fresh off an 84-83 nail-biter of a loss at Manhattan. They just played back-to-back road games, losing at Siena comfortably, and then that nail-biter of a loss against Manhattan. So we'll see what St. Peter's can do against Fairfield here. This is another team. I guess Marcus Randolph putting up nearly 15 points per game is fine, but he's only shooting 36% from the field. This team's averaging the 387th most points per game. That's a pretty big yikes. And their defense, while it does look good, is largely a function of their slow pace of play. So looking at the numbers here, guys, we see St. Peter's as 4.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 131.5. Guys, Fairfield's only 3-7-1 against spread on the road. They're 12-11 to the under. St. Peter's 1-5 against spread at home. 10-9 to the over. Guys, go ahead and give me Fairfield and the points in this one. It doesn't necessarily feel amazing, but I think they're actually the better team, and getting points here, despite the fact they're playing on the road, makes me want to go with the Fairfield Stags in this matchup. Staying in the MAAC, guys, we're looking at the Marist Foxes, currently sitting in third there in the conference. They're 16-5 on the year. They just lost at Fairfield, and then they lost against Iona. So rough times right now for the Red Foxes, guys. I mean, that loss against Iona had to feel pretty rough. They got, that was their spot to bounce back, and they just did not bounce very well. They shot 35% from three and 50% from the field and still lost the game thanks to getting crushed there on the board. So will they be able to bounce back from this? I mean, over the course of the year, we've seen Josh Pasquarelli look very good. His 16.1 points per game easily lead the team, but this hasn't been a great offensive team in terms of, points per game. Their defensive numbers have been good. Their rebounding, though, could definitely use quite a bit of work. And they're going up against the Siena team that they beat, but only by 5 earlier this season, and that was at home for Marist. So we'll see what they do on the road here against the Siena Saints, who are 11-13 this season. They're 8th right now in the MAAC, which that doesn't look great. Obviously, they're 6-7 there in conference play. They're coming off a loss at Rider, a tough 61-59 loss against, not exactly one of the best teams in the conference. Justice Schultz, 15.4 points and 4 assists per game is very, very reasonable stuff. At Ryder, I mean, he did not really have his best game, guys, obviously. I mean, 13 points, not what you're looking for from him. We did get 15 there from Gavin Dottie, but just not enough. And they only shot 20% from 3 in the game. A very poor shooting performance from both teams. So we'll see what we get from Siena at home. They're 1.5 point favorites. We got a total of 129.5. Marist, 5-5 against spread on the road, 11-10 to the under. Siena, 7-3 against the spread at home, 15-9 to the over. Guys, I'm going to be siding here slightly towards the Marist Red Foxes to bounce back here a little bit and get things back on track. It has to happen at some point. They're up to getting 2.5 points now. The line has moved, so yeah, we'll take that a little bit of extra value. I don't think this is going in the pinned comment, though. I don't trust either team right now, so we're going to go ahead and move on here and take a look at the Merrimack Warriors going on the road to take on the Manhattan Jaspers. Merrimack comes into this game fresh off of another win. They've won 3 in a row now, taking down Ryder, Niagara, and then Canisius their last time out, which beating Canisius, not too much of an accomplishment, but we're going to give them credit where credit is due. They've got a monster leading scorer in Adam Clark, 20 points per game, 6 assists per game, all very, very good, but those season-long numbers are an absolute eyesore, guys. 400th in the nation in points per game, 477th in rebounding per game. They do play some pretty good defense, so got to give them credit there, and they're playing much, much better here down the stretch. They've actually won 6 out of their last 7 games, so got to give Merrimack their credit here, but they're about to go up against a Manhattan team that's, done some positive stuff. They're 6-6 in conference play this season. The Jaspers, 11-10 on the year, coming off a 1-point win there against St. Peter's. Not exactly the kind of team you're supposed to have 1-point wins against if you're a good team. The last time they played Merrimack, we did see the Jaspers take the loss here. Will Snyder, not a slouch, 15 points per game. Not everybody's doing that. This is a decent rebounding team, a decent, team in terms of their offensive production in every game. So maybe we need to be looking at this as something of a bounce back spot. Manhattan is getting 2.5 points at home. We've got a total of 138.5. Merrimack 8-5-1 against spread on the road, though. They are 15-9 to the under. Manhattan 4-5 against the spread at home. They're 13-7 to the over. This is another very close game, guys. Another very, very close spot. I'm going to be leaning here slightly towards Manhattan at home. Getting 2.5 points on your home floor, you're the team that puts up better numbers over the course of the season. You're in something of a revenge spot here against a Merrimack team that you lost to earlier in the season by 7. So yeah, give me Manhattan home in this one, but definitely a very sketchy game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Ryder Broncos going on the road to take on the Iona Gales. Ryder comes into this game 9-15 on the season, but fresh off a nice 61-59 crazy win there against Siena. We like what we've seen from Ryder, I guess, in their last game, but overall this season it's been pretty bleak out there. They're only 5-8 in conference play. They don't have a big time leading scorer. They're nearly 400th in the nation in points per game. Their rebounding numbers are also looking really, really bad, and they're not a team that plays very good defense. They just gave up 90 points to Sacred Heart. So a lot of room for improvement there for the Ryder Broncos as they go on the road to take on these Iona Gales, who are 11-13 on the season, but 8-5 there in conference play. They've won their last 3 in a row, including a 75-71 win at Marist their last time out, and a 70-67 win at Mount St. Mary. So this team absolutely cruising. They beat Ryder earlier this season by 6, and that was at Ryder. So a lot of things to feel positive about right now for Iona. They've got a monster leading scorer in DeJour Reeves, 16.2 points per game, no slouch there. Their rebounding numbers look good. Their offensive numbers, maybe not amazing, but they've been playing really, really well lately, eclipsing their normal season averages in each of their last 3 games significantly. They're playing better defense as well. So a lot of positives here for Iona, and that's got to be why the odds makers like them so much. They are 6.5 point favorites at home. We've got a total of 138.5. Ryder 8-7 against the spread on the road, 14-10 to the under. Iona 5-5 against spread at home, 13-11 to the over. Guys, I'm siding with Iona here at -6.5. This team definitely is on a mission right now. They're playing their best ball of the season. I'm not interested in that over-under, but I do think we see Iona, and I definitely think they're going to have the best player on the court in this one in Reeves, so give me Iona to get the win and cover here. Next on the dock, we're looking at the Quinnipiac Bobcats going on the road here to take on Sacred Heart. Quinnipiac 14-10 on the season, but fresh off a tough loss against Niagara. They've been alternating wins and losses. They beat Fairfield, lost Siena, beat Canisius, and then lost there at Niagara. So we'll see if they got a bounce back in them. Amari Monroe is a monster, 17.5 points per game, Nothing wrong with that. This Quinnipiac team is actually second right now, only one win back of Merrimack there for the lead in the MAAC. So that's pretty reasonable. And the last time, guys, that they played against Sacred Heart, when was that? Or have they only played? They've only played Sacred Heart once this season. That is not true. They beat Sacred Heart by 10 points very early on this year. So we'll see if they can run it back here. They're going to be on the road, which obviously makes things a lot tougher. They're taking on the Sacred Heart Pioneers, who are 7-5 in conference play, 11-12 on the year. Sacred Heart's actually won their last 5 in a row, so the Pioneers playing well. Wins over Canisius, Niagara, Manhattan, Ryder, and Fairfield their last time out, going on the road to take down Fairfield 77-71. Tanner Thomas leads the way for this team with 15.5 points per game. Their season numbers, except for their defense, look pretty good. They're not a great defensive squad, although it's been a little bit improved lately, so got to give them some credit. They're 130th in the nation, putting up 76.3 points per game, so that looks good. At Fairfield, their last time out, we did see some positive things from Sacred Heart. I mean, they shot 30% from 3. That's not amazing, but they, had 40 rebounds in the game to the 36 there at Fairfield. So got to give them credit where credit is due. They also had 2 20-point plus scores in the game. So some good stuff there from Sacred Heart, but they're going to, have to really do something impressive here at home where they're getting 2.5 points. We had a total of 156.5. Both teams showing very slight trends towards the over. Quinnipiac 4-9 against spread on the road. Sacred Heart 5-4 against spread at home. This is a tough one, guys. I'm gonna lean towards Quinnipiac since they had so much success earlier this season in this exact matchup, but this is a tough one, guys. This is a very, very tough one. Not gonna be able to put this one in the pinned comment, unfortunately. Just not enough life there from Quinnipiac on the road over the course of the season for me to feel totally comfortable. Next on the docket, we finally got a power conference game, guys. One of the biggest games and one of the games we're most excited to watch tonight. We have the UCLA Bruins going on the road to take on the Indiana Hoosiers. UCLA 18-7 on the season. This is a team that's been in the top 25 multiple times this year, but not right now, and they're coming off a 83-78 loss there at Illinois. So obviously a tough travel spot there for UCLA, like traveling all the way from LA to the middle of the country to play Illinois. That's rough. Losing that game by 5 points, also rough. That loss snapped, what was it, a 7-game winning streak that included wins over Oregon, Michigan State, and Wisconsin, though. So this team's shown they can do some pretty impressive stuff. Can they do impressive stuff on the road? Well, we will have to wait and see for that, guys. I mean, at Illinois, obviously, only losing by 5, not necessarily a terrible loss. We liked some of what we saw. This is a team that leans very, very much on their leading score, but shooting 52% from 3 and losing this game, I mean, behind a 25-point game and an 11-point game, like that has to feel pretty brutal. So maybe they need to step it up a little bit on the defensive end. They really got to step it up on the glass, so that is why they lost that game against Illinois. So we'll see if they are capable of doing that. I mean, their season-long numbers, the defense does not look great. The defensive numbers look pretty weak. The rebounding numbers look much worse, though. The defense, whatever. The rebounding numbers look terrible. I actually transposed those numbers in my head. Defense, good. Rebounding, bad. UCLA offense, pretty reasonable. And yeah, I think we like this UCLA team in general, but these big travel spots for the new look Big Ten are getting pretty weird out there. And a team that doesn't have to travel for this game is the Indiana Hoosiers. They're 15-10 on the year. They're not exactly having a great time in conference play, only 6-8 overall, but they are fresh off a massive win there at Michigan, guys. They won that game 71-67 at number 11 Michigan. Crazy stuff. I mean, obviously, that's a massive, just a crazy upset win. We saw Michigan State shoot only 17.4% from 3, and while some of that credit goes to Indiana playing amazing defense, Michigan State also just missed some shots. We saw very good stuff on the boards, keeping things close to even. We saw four double-digit scores there for the Hoosiers, so they've got to feel great about that. Their season-long numbers, I don't know how they feel about those. I mean, they're well above average in points per game, and the rebounding numbers are excellent. The defense, though, that's where we really get concerned. So looking at the numbers here, Indiana getting 1.5 points at home. We've got a total of 140.5. The Bruins only 3-4 against the spread on the road, 14-11 to the under. Indiana 9-5 against spread at home, 13-12 to the under. So I'm not really interested in the over/under. If you wanted to take under 140.5, I guess you could, but I'm definitely taking Indiana here, getting 1.5 points in this game. I think there's a very good chance this ends up in the pinned comment. This could even end up being a premium pick at stumpthespread.com. Like Indiana, probably not the place these UCLA players want to be right now. It's a little bit cold in the Midwest, and I think they could struggle a little bit here. And they haven't been a good road team this season in general. I know Indiana's in a big letdown spot after such a huge win, but we'll see what happens. UCLA has been playing really well, don't get me wrong, but How are they going to fare against Indiana in Indiana? That is a pretty brutal place to play. Next up, we're looking at the Wright State Raiders going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Panthers out in the Horizon. Wright State comes in this game fresh off a blowout 91-73 win over IU Indy. Obviously not the necessarily craziest opponent out there, one of the worst teams in the conference, but we've seen some positives, some negatives for the Raiders. I mean, they've been alternating wins and losses for quite some time now. This is a team, led there by Brandon Noel, almost 20 points per game, so that's very legit. They're a good offensive team, but the defense is very, very lacking. The rebounding is not great either, so they could have their hands full going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Panthers, who are currently 9-5 in conference play. They're fresh off a tough loss there against Cleveland State, where they lost 77-60. A tough road showing there. They did not have a good time. This is actually a top 80 teams in terms of points per game. Their rebounding numbers are also just among the leaders in the nation. So a lot of positive things, but they don't play great defense necessarily, and that has slowed this team down quite a bit. So looking at their history this season, we already saw Milwaukee get a blowout 95-79 win in this matchup, and that was at Wright State. Now they get to be at home for this game, and when you look at the numbers, it seems a little bit suspect, guys. Milwaukee, they are 5.5 point favorites at home. We've got a total of 154.5. Wright State only 3-7-1 against spread on the road. Milwaukee only 4-5 against spread at home. But regardless, guys, we're definitely taking Milwaukee here at -5.5. This seems like way too good of a spot to pass up. They already dominated in this matchup once already this season. And while you can look at the revenge angle, I don't think there's that much revenge to be had in a game that was just such a complete domination. I mean, you won by 16. Like, that's not that close of a game. So definitely give me Milwaukee at home in this one. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the Nevada Wolfpack going on the road to take on San Jose State out in the Mountain West. The Wolfpack 14-10 on the season, but they've won their last 3 in a row, but wins over UNLV, Air Force, and Fresno State. Those are, not the toughest teams. They win over UNLV, looks fine, but, Air Force and Fresno State, clearly the worst teams in the conference. A combined conference record there of 1-27. So Nevada's done some decent stuff this season, but really, guys, I mean, they find themselves only 6-7 in conference play. Not the year that they were imagining. Nick Davidson leads his team with 16.2 points per game, shooting over 50% from the field, but this offense is rated 221st in the nation. The rebounding numbers 335th. They do play some defense, but will that be enough in this matchup against a San Jose State team that they did beat by 11 earlier this season? But now they've got to go on the road here, and this is a San Jose State Spartans team that is moving a little bit different right now, guys. They did get blown out there by Boise State, but they gave everything they had. They gave San Diego State everything they could handle their last time out. They eventually did lose that game by 3 points. So a loss there for the Spartans, but it's got to feel like a little bit of a moral victory. This team, not amazing on the boards either, but they can score it. They've been playing better a little bit on the boards. I mean, obviously you lose a game by 3 points, like you're going to look back at everything you did wrong and be like, man, if we just done one thing different. And one thing they could have done differently is grab a couple more rebounds and shoot the ball a little bit better from the free throw line, but they got really hoodooed at the line. They shot 10. Their opponent, guys, the San Diego State Aztecs, shot 22 free throws. So the Spartans are definitely going to be looking for a bounce back in this game. They come into it getting 5.5 points at home. We've got a total of 135.5. Nevada only 2-5 against spread on the road. They are 13-11 to the under. San Diego State, a monster against the spread at home, 9-2 against the spread at home this season. They are 15-8-1 to the over. You can definitely talk me into over 135.5 in this game. That's a very low total, so over seems reasonable, but better than that, guys. I like San Jose State here getting 5.5 points. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to end up in the pinned comment. I do wish this was a little bit more in the 7-point range, but I definitely think the San Jose State side is the side you want to be on. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for a chance to win this hoodie and comment below. If we get to 800 likes on this college basketball video, we are going to give away a hoodie 100% for free to someone who comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Help us get closer and closer to that 50,000 subscriber mark. Once we hit that, we'll be giving away a hoodie then as well. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I appreciate you watching. Click that link in the description to get over to StompTheSpread.com. You can check out our premium plays. You can also get on our free email list, get free picks straight to your inbox. We will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.